We are a community that is united not around convenience or comfort, but because God has called us to greater things. It's not about where we meet, it's about the people who gather. We are the church. We exist for the world. Because Jesus has proven time and time again that he can change everything for anyone. And with that anchored to our hearts, we risk everything to rescue those who are lost. This isn't just an hour on Sunday. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, across the Puget Sound and around the world. We are the church.
We are together for Kirkland.
Together for Bothell.
Kenmore.
Mercer Island.
For Monroe.
Together for Seattle.
Together for Bothell.
Juanita.
Kirkland.
Together for Cascadia.
We are together for Kirkland.
Together for our city, we open our hands and let go of fear. Together for our city, we open our hearts and live by faith. Because God calls us into the unknown. And with confidence, we emerge as light in a dark place.
Hey everybody, welcome to Easter at Northshore. If we haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name is Stephen Bolt, and I know we can't be face to face, but we see you in the comments section, and I'm really excited to spend some time together with you this week. Hey, I wanted to give a special shout out to those of you that are joining us for the first time. Northshore is one church that right now is meeting in thousands of locations all over the world. How cool is that? I hope I'm not the first, but if I am, welcome to Northshore. We're so glad that you are here. Hey, if you have any questions throughout this experience, you can let us know in the comments section, or if you're not on a platform that has comments, you can head over to our website, northshore.church, and there's tons of information that you could find helpful on there. Hey, we have a powerful service planned for today, and we don't believe that you're here by chance. We know that God is here to meet us, and we're excited to see what He is going to do. Hey, I wanted to give you this opportunity to invite some other people to join us as well. If you're on Facebook, you can just click that share button. And if you're watching on one of our other online platforms, you can actually just copy this link, text it, call it, send it in smoke signals, whatever you gotta do to get some people around you to come to this experience and just take in what God has for us this Easter. Hey, there are truths that we are gonna sing about and that Scotty is gonna talk about here in a little bit that just remind us the same God that rose from the dead a couple thousand years ago is here today. So yeah, as we jump into some worship, I would encourage you, worship along with us, lean in and just celebrate what God did. Thank you guys again so much for joining us, and once again, welcome to Easter at Northshore.
By your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. By your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. Your power and your presence bring strongholds. King of heaven, when you speak, mountains move. I believe there will be breakthrough. Your power, your presence brings strongholds. King of heaven, when you speak, mountains move. I believe there will be breakthrough. Oh, praise the one who made my dead and raised this life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who made my dead and raised this life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who made my dead and raised this life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who made my dead and raised this life up from the dead.
Well, happy Easter again. My name's Brandon. I'm on staff here. And no matter where you're watching from, I hope you're able to connect today and sing and celebrate what Jesus has done for us. He conquered sin and death. So no matter what we're facing right now, we can have hope in Him, that He is powerful, that He loves us, and we can again celebrate together, even though we're spread out into a bunch of different locations. So why don't you sing with us as we keep focusing our hearts on God in this moment. I search the world, but it couldn't fill me. Man's empty praise, treasures of fame I never knew. Then you came along, put me back together, and every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than
to highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can.
Well, I am so honored to be here with someone who's become a friend over this last month, Ellie, who is the director there at Life Care. So thank you for making time, Ellie, in the middle of all this craziness. I know it's been a little bit over a month since the outbreak, but if you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about what it's been like.
Well, for starters, I have an amazing team. I think the best way that we described some of those first few days was nothing short of combat medicine. It was traumatizing. Patients leaving, ambulances pulling up in the parking lot, rolling patients out on their beds. We filled Evergreen Hospital. That's how many patients we sent out. And the staff were amazing. They kept coming every single day. They'd come back and what do we have today? And bring it, we're ready. Because that's what we do. That's what we do, is take care of people.
I hope you know that it's been a joy to be whatever help we can be through things that none of us can really imagine from the outside. And so thank you for letting us be part of that. And I know you know that it's been way more than just even the meals and then that being broadened out to the community, but just a number of prayers that all of our team and our church has sent up for you guys and for your residents and for your team.
It's been huge. At first, the staff were just shocked that somebody would bring meals. And then I slowly started to see this, oh, I wonder what's for lunch today. I wonder what they're going to bring us today. And then it really got to be this thing where the staff were not only appreciative, they needed it. And really, truly, when you talk about feeding people, you guys literally fed people and you fed their souls.
Thank you for the hard work that you and your team are doing. And I know it hasn't been easy, but we're grateful for just the way you've served really people that are often overlooked in our society.
Well, thank you so much. Everybody here has said, the next time you talk to them, you need to thank them. You need to say thank you. We just can't wait to walk through your doors when you guys are open to meet you all and say thank you from us to you and face to face.
It'll be nice to see you without a mask.
Yes, it'll be nice not to wear one.
I'm sure. Well, thank you so much for giving us some of your time, and we'll just continue to pray for you guys and let us know if there's anything else we can do.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, Ellie.
Well, hey, everybody. I'm Jonathan Wolfgang. I'm part of the team here at Northshore, and on behalf of our entire staff and leadership, it is a great pleasure to wish you a very happy Easter. Thank you so much for being with us today. And on behalf of Ellie and my friends there at Life Care, let me say a special thank you for the extraordinary way that instead of running away from people in crisis, so many of you have stepped up to support and work alongside those who've been hurting. They're at Life Care and throughout our community. You know, the Life Care campus is just over a mile from our Kirkland church campus. I've been there several times, and I have spoken with people there about the incredible impact your generosity has made. So thank you for not just talking about being a generous people, but showing it in such an amazing way. You know, those of you who are local, you may have seen throughout our community, there are signs that have popped up in people's yards, even on billboards, talking about how we're a church together for our community, whether it's Kirkland or Bothell or Woodinville or Kenmore or Seattle, wherever it may be. A church who does more than just talk, but actually acts. Why? Because we believe that Jesus can change everything for anyone. And so we're a church together for our neighbors, for those in need, and for the next generation. That's not just words to us, it's who we are. And friends, I've been so proud to be part of the amazing way that Northshore has been living this out in our area. And we're just getting started. We continue to look for ways that we can engage. Because of the generosity of so many of you, last week we were able to write a check for $10,000 to the Woodinville Storehouse. It's a food bank here in our area that's been meeting some of the food crisis in so many families. Think about that. $10,000 is enough to buy meals for 100 families for an entire month. And that happens because of your generosity. It's an amazing thing to see. And so we want to say thank you. And right now is a chance for us to be part of that generosity experience. This is our offering time. And let me just say, for those of you who are maybe just checking out Northshore for the very first time, we're so glad you're here. Please don't feel any pressure to click on those links or to give anything at all. We hope you just enjoy this experience as our gift to you this Easter. But for those of us who call Northshore home, and for those of us who want to be part of this Together For movement that is helping bring relief and support to so many people during this crisis and critical time of need, this is our chance, friends, to link arms and to do more together than any of us could ever do on our own. So there on your screen are links to instruct you on how to be part of that giving experience. Thank you for being part of this movement. Now let's get back to what it is that we're doing here today. You know, growing up in the Wolfgang household, we had certain Easter traditions. One of those is my mom would take my younger brother and I every year to J.C. Penney for a brand new suit. Some of you maybe had that experience, complete with the clip-on tie. And then on Easter morning, my parents wouldn't let us get into our Easter baskets until after we had gone to church to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. And I was always just a little jealous of my friends who got to stay home, got to wear their pajamas Easter morning, and who got to tear right in to their Easter candy. And I thought, this being the unusual year that it is, maybe this is my chance to experience the best of both worlds. To gather like this and to celebrate Jesus' amazing grace that very first Easter. And not only that, to get to do it in my pajamas. You have no idea how happy this makes me right now, complete with my little puppy slippers. And not just that, to get to be part of a worship experience like this while eating my favorite Easter candy. That's right, Marshmallow Peeps. A few days stale, because for whatever reason, they're just better that way. So anyhow, here's what we're going to do right now. We're going to continue to celebrate whatever it is we're wearing, this living hope that we have because of that miracle that happened on that first Easter. And we're so glad you're here to be part of it. So let's get going.
How great the chasm that lay between us, how high the mountain I could not climb. In desperation, I turned to heaven and spoke your name into the night. And through the darkness, your loving kindness tore through the shadows of my soul. The work is finished, the end is written. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Who could imagine so great a mercy? What heart could fathom such boundless grace? The God of ages stepped down from glory to wear my sin the silence, the roaring lion declare the grave has no claim on me. Come on, sing it. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe out of the silence. The roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Jesus, yours is the victory. Oh, hallelujah. Praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah. Death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Sing hallelujah. Praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah. Death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Oh God, you are my living hope.
Hey everybody, welcome to Northshore and happy Easter. Whether you are a regular part of the Northshore family or you're a guest with us, I'm so glad you're spending part of your Easter with us today. Yes, it's Easter Sunday, but it's unlike any Easter Sunday in my lifetime. I mean, I've never had to preach about the empty tomb to an empty room before. And right now, our church is literally in thousands of locations, not just around in Kirkland, but all around the country and around the world. Younger and older, married and single. And by the way, to all of you young people who are watching, you can thank me later for not having to dress up to go to church today. But even though we are not in the same room, we can still celebrate Easter together in ways that are really important. First, we can actually still greet each other as we often do on Sundays. So right now, I want everyone to jump into the chat area and just say, Happy Easter from wherever you're watching from. Can you do that right now? And second, and this is one of the blessings of doing church online, you can actually engage with us during the service. Our host team is ready to answer questions or pray with you. In fact, I'll be able to read your questions, your comments, your prayer requests throughout the day. So reach out, speak out anytime during the hour. You know, usually when I speak, I have to kind of guess what might be on people's minds. But today, I have a pretty good idea. We are all living through this once-in-a-century global pandemic. And it's a season that will forever be defined by words like COVID-19, social distancing, and flattening the curve. And as people are adapting to this new world, there are some new words that we're all learning. Here are a few new ones for me. How about this one? Quarantine. Your quarantine is the group of people you are choosing to live with or you're just stuck with during this time when we're ordered to stay at home. And people, we start to do kind of weird things when we're stuck together at home, especially if you have little kids and you want to take an Easter photo. You end up with a family picture that looks something like this. Yes, that's our Easter family photo, and that's the happy one. Here's another new phrase, WFH, or working from home. Someone told me this week that the only thing they have to do now to get ready for work is change from their night pajamas into their day pajamas. Here's another new trend. I know you'll know this one. Zoom calls or Zoom calling. I'm guessing only a few of you had ever made a Zoom call before March 1. I'm guessing almost all of you have made one now. In fact, there are two kinds of people when it comes to Zoom. People who won't stop sending Zoom invites and people who hate people who won't stop sending Zoom invites. And there's all sorts of Zoom etiquette that you've got to figure out, like when to mute your mic and how to set up a background photo and even how to actually leave the meeting. This past week, I saw a video of someone who didn't actually leave the meeting when the meeting was over, and it got a little bit awkward. Take a look at this.
Goodbye. All right. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
See you guys.
Tony!
Can you hear us?
Tony!
Oh no. Don't. Jen, call him. Oh my gosh. Hold on, I'm going to text a couple pictures of that.
Some of you are thinking, I can't believe that guy wasn't wearing any pants. The rest of you are thinking, I can't believe I just saw that at church. But here's the thing. Underneath all the changes and all the challenges, all the headlines and all the heartache, I think everybody right now is just desperate for a little bit of hope, especially after a week that some have called one of the most tragic weeks in American history. We are all asking questions like, how will this end? Or when will this get better? And as a pastor, people have asked me, where is God in all of this? And what will God do to get us through this? Well, that's actually what I want to talk about today, because God has already done something to get you through it. And it has everything to do with what we celebrate at Easter. And to help you see this for yourself, I want to take you back in time 2,000 years, not just to the first Easter, but to the Thursday night before the first Easter, when Jesus was in the city of Jerusalem. He was celebrating the Passover meal with his closest friends, and it was the last time they would be together before he was eventually arrested and then crucified. So these were his very last words to his disciples. This is what he wanted them to know about life after he was gone. Listen to what he said. He said, a time is coming, and in fact has come, when you will be scattered, each to your own home. I think we can all relate to that right now, right? And then Jesus goes on to say these powerful words. In this world, you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. Now, if you've ever wondered about the meaning of Easter, it's these two phrases. In this world, you will have trouble, but there's good news. Jesus has overcome the world. That is, he's done something about it. So I want to spend the rest of my time reflecting with you on these two phrases, starting with the sort of sobering words, in this world, you will have trouble. In other words, trouble happens, and it happens to everybody. I have a scar on my left hand that I got when I was 5 or 6 years old, and it always reminds me of the moment when I discovered that trouble happens. It was a hot summer day in Arkansas where I grew up, and my dad was out working in the yard, and I wanted to do something for him other than actually help him. So I decided to take him a bottle of Coke, because we Southerners love our Coke. Can I get an amen from somebody in the chat area right now? Side note, I just read about a woman who's 92 years old who's been drinking 12 Cokes a day for like her entire life, until a few years ago when she learned that Coke had too much sugar, so she started drinking 12 Diet Cokes a day, and she's still alive. So take that, coconut water. Anyway, I got a bottle of Coke from the fridge, and not the plastic bottles that we're used to, but an old school glass bottle of Coke. But as I was on my way through the garage, I tripped over one of our bikes and fell down, smashing the bottle with my left hand. And I had never felt pain like that before. I had never seen so much blood come out of my body before. I had never wasted so much Coke before. So I screamed. My parents came running. I ended up in the ER getting stitches all over my left hand. And I learned a really important lesson that day. Don't help other people. Actually, what I learned was that trouble happens. People fall. People get sick. People suffer. Sometimes because of their own choices, sometimes because of other people's choices, sometimes because there's a bike in the wrong part of the garage. In this world, you will have trouble. And the word that Jesus uses for trouble is this really cool Greek word, thlipsis. I want everyone to say that in your home right now, thlipsis. It's a word that carries this sense of weight or pressure or heaviness. Thlipsis feels like the whole world is bearing down on you. And maybe that's where you are on this Easter Sunday. To be honest, these last 6 weeks have been some of the most challenging weeks for me personally in my whole life. As a husband, as a father of 2 kids under 3 years old, as a pastor of a church here at Ground Zero in this pandemic. And I'm hearing so many similar stories of struggle, of weightiness, of the heaviness of the season from so many people. Stories about loved ones getting sick. Stories about losing a job or having to let somebody go. Stories about being out of school or losing your senior year. Stories about social distancing and feeling alone or isolated. I mean, 6 feet has never felt so far apart. That's thlipsis. That's the weight of a world that's broken. You know, one of the positives of this season is that we're all being reminded of something that's always been true, that we were never actually in control, that we were never really fully safe from harm. We were never promised a certain quality of life or level of comfort. And by the way, a lot of people are saying, you know what? Welcome to the club. For a lot of people, that normal life that we miss, it wasn't that good anyway. In this world, you will have trouble. And that you means all of you, no matter how wealthy or educated or successful you are. And here's the thing, as much as I don't want to hear Jesus say this, I'm so grateful Jesus was just honest about it. I mean, think about it. He doesn't try to spin the truth. He never promises that life will always be happily ever after. But Jesus does make you a really important promise, which brings us to that second phrase and what Easter is all about. In this world, you will have trouble. In other words, yes, trouble happens, but take heart, be encouraged, stand up and cheer. Why? Because Jesus has overcome the world. Now, notice what Jesus doesn't say. He doesn't say, I'm going to change all of your circumstances. He doesn't say, you're never going to struggle again. He says something far more important. He says, I have overcome the world. You see, the truth is, our troubles are just symptoms of a much bigger problem. Our world is broken, and I'm broken, and you're broken. And in spite of our technology, our resources, our progress, we can't fix this problem because we're all part of it. Which is why Jesus didn't come just to ease our troubles. He came to win back the world. That's what the cross and the empty tomb are all about. Jesus took all our trouble onto that cross and into that grave. And on the third day, he walked out of that tomb, making it clear to all the world that sickness won't have the last word and darkness won't have the last word. Even death won't have the last word. I love how the Apostle Paul once put it. He said, almost mockingly, where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? In other words, death may still be part of this world, but it has no power over those who know Jesus, because Jesus has overcome the world and every trouble in it. You know, Christian theologians sometimes describe this as living in the already but not yet. Living in the already but not yet. That is, Jesus has already defeated sin and death, but we are not yet fully free of its pain and frustration. Jesus already knows how the story ends, but our part of the story is not yet done. Let me try to illustrate it this way. when a man asks a woman to marry him, his job is to come up with a heartwarming, tear-jerking, cost-defying plan that would make it literally impossible for her to say no. When I proposed to Nina, I was not one of those men. I came up with this elaborate plan that was pretty much one bad decision after another. Instead of proposing on Valentine's Day when she was expecting at least something from me, I waited till the day after. Instead of coming up with a romantic and inspiring dinner destination, I took her to play mini golf, even though she told me she didn't want to play mini golf, because no woman wants to play mini golf. And not only did I plan this out poorly, I was so nervous about proposing, I was acting all strange, and she started thinking something bad was going to happen, like I was going to break up with her. At one point, she actually broke down crying and said, "This night is ruined." All the while I'm thinking, but I've got the ring, I've got the ring, I've got the ring. So with no other option, I drove back to her apartment. I asked if I could walk her to her door, thinking if I can just get her out of the car, I can get down on one knee and it will all be clear. But she didn't want to get out of the car. So, she was feeling too upset about the whole night. So with nothing else I could say to explain myself, I simply flipped on the dome light. I pulled out the ring, and there by the dumpster in the parking lot by that old apartment building, I asked her to marry me right over the parking brake. It was the least Instagrammable proposal in the history of proposals. But here's the thing. For Nina, suddenly everything clicked. She could finally see why I had been acting so weird and why I'd made all these strange plans. And so, with great enthusiasm, she said yes. And then I was never again allowed to plan any dates on my own. That night, Nina was living in the chaos of the already but not yet. To her, it looked like the night was ruined. To her, it was one moment of trouble after another. But I already had the ring. And I knew how the story was going to end. And the story was going to end well. Friends, the promise of Easter is this. Jesus already has the ring. He's already done everything that needs to be done concerning all the sin, all the suffering, all the sadness, all the struggle. And even though life is hard, even though we may face trouble after trouble after trouble, even if your life feels like the least Instagrammable life there is, Jesus knows how the story ends, and the story ends well. But you have to trust him enough to say yes. I want to share a story with you now from someone in our church who said yes to Jesus for the very first time this past year. Her name is Jessica, and she found Northshore through an experience here called Alpha. Alpha is just a safe place to talk about the meaning of life. No pressure, no pretending, no pushing beliefs at you, just real people with real questions. And Jessica agreed to share some of her story with all of you. So take a look at this.
So my name is Jessica Riddell, and I started coming to Northshore through Alpha last year. I think it was March. Before Jesus, it was constant struggle bus, financial hardships, very lonely. I'm a single mom of a 4-year-old. I struggle with a lot of severe anxiety and major depression, and just seeking happiness and longing for something else. My experience at Alpha was great. Alpha isn't based around preaching to you or answering the questions for you. It's for you to find the answers within yourself. My table host was so nice and so inviting, and everyone around me just had great conversation about the things that we feel we should believe, and just all the questions that we had and the doubts that we had. And I think that the structure around Alpha, it really does help you do that. It's not like Jesus came into my life and I'm perfect and I'm healed of everything and all of my hardships. No, it just, I think that I have something to live for now. Like my anxiety isn't gone, but it's a lot easier to sit and have some quiet time and pray, and it's just like this sense of relief, and it's like, okay, I can deal with whatever I'm going through right now. my entire life has changed. I don't know. Like my priorities have changed. My music's changed. I'm trying to read more again, and I'm just putting Jesus at my center every day when I wake up, when I go to bed. I mean, it's not perfect. There's definitely days where my son is kind of like my main concern, and he distracts me a lot. Just because I'm following Jesus now doesn't mean I'm not going to make mistakes or I'm going to be perfect all the time. And it reminds me that women who have been following Jesus for so long, they still are struggling with a lot that I'm struggling with now. The biggest thing that I came to know was God doesn't put you through hard times. He meets you in the middle and he gets you through them.
So question, did Jessica have struggles before Jesus? Yes. Did she have struggles after Jesus? Yes, because in this world, you will have trouble. But this past year, she discovered that man who walked out of that tomb 2,000 years ago was right there, ready to meet her in the middle of all of it. And he didn't just come to change her circumstances, he came to change her and to bring her the joy of knowing he's already got the ring and he knows how her story is going to end. And because of her yes, her story ends well. And so right now, I want to talk to all of you who have never said yes to Jesus. Some of you right now, in the quiet of your heart, you know you've been searching, you've been looking, you've been wondering about, is there a real answer? Is there a real hope? And maybe in this season, you've been asking questions or you've been confronted with your own helplessness, your own fear, your own mortality. And here's what I want to say to you right now. Yes, life is hard. And no, God doesn't promise to fix it all tomorrow, but he's done something better. He's made you a promise that he loves you and he wants to be with you. And he already has the ring and he knows how your story can end, but you have to say yes. And so here's the thing. Easter, it's not really that's interesting kind of deal. Easter is a yes or no kind of deal. It's a my future is in God's hands or my hands kind of deal. So if you want to place your story, your future in God's hands, you can do that right now. You can say yes to Jesus right now. Even if, there's chaos going on around you, you're with friends or family, or you're trying to get your kids to be quiet, in the quiet of your heart right now, you can say yes. You can say, yes, Jesus, I want to surrender my life to you. I'm asking you to come into my life, and I want the promise of eternal joy in the face of my temporary trouble. You can say yes to him right now. It's a simple thing. Just tell him. And what are you waiting for? For those of you who are making that first time commitment to Jesus, I want to ask you right now, if you would, to get out your phone and text my faith to 97000. Just so we know, this is a big moment. And we want to send you a gift, a little book that can help walk with you and help you understand the decision you made and the next steps that you can take. And here's the deal. Don't text us just because you want to have a free book. I mean, there's not a good way to commemorate Easter by ripping off a church, okay? And if you're not ready to say yes to Jesus, if you still have questions, if you're not sure that God is real, that he even cares, I want to invite you to that experience called Alpha that was so helpful for Jessica. In fact, we're kicking off an online Alpha experience this Thursday night. But we need you to RSVP so we can send you an invitation. So you can go to northshore.church/alpha to register or to find out more. I want to encourage you just to take that step. And then for the rest of us, some of whom may still be feeling a little disappointed that Easter, like everything else, is just so different this year. Let me just say this. This Easter is a lot more like the first Easter than any Easter I've known. There's trouble all around us. There's fear and uncertainty. Everyone is huddled up in their own homes wondering, what is God doing? And that's right when Jesus walked out of that tomb, reminding us that God can bring good out of any situation, no matter how bad it looks, no matter what's going on in your life or your marriage or your job or your family. That empty tomb means even though we face trouble, our future is securely in God's hands, and our best days are still ahead of us. You know, our son Jude just turned 2 months old, which means he had to go to the doctor this past week to get his first round of vaccinations, which, as you can imagine, was not a very fun moment for him. Nina had to basically hold him down while the nurse gave him 3 shots. And you can imagine how his sweet little face turned from smiling to screaming as he experienced to him what must have felt like inexplicable pain. And so afterwards, I took him in my arms, and I rocked him, and I comforted him, and I told him, Jude, I'm right here with you, and I love you. And Daddy would have never let this happen to you. In this world, you will have trouble. But Jesus, the risen one, the man who walked out of that tomb on that very first Easter, is right there with you, holding you in his loving hands. Hands that can hold cancer, hands that can hold divorce, hands that can hold injustice, hands that can even hold death. Hands that still show the scars from those nails on that cross, as if to say, yes, you will have trouble, but look at my hand. These scars are all that's left of all that trouble. You know, when I look at that scar on my left hand, I remember the pain. I remember how scared I was. But I also remember my father running to find me and taking me into his arms and saying to me what I believe Jesus wants to tell you this Easter, that even though it hurts, even though you may feel scared, one day down the road, all that pain will be gone. And this present trouble will be just a thing of the past. And all that will be left is just a scar. Let's pray. Jesus, we don't just celebrate the empty tomb today, but we remember that great news that you overcame all the troubles of this world when you walked out of that tomb 2,000 years ago. And so now, as we live in these days that are filled with such fear and uncertainty, we cling to this great truth that you have overcome not just the temporary troubles of our lives, but the biggest problem of our world. The brokenness of our world, our sin, our shame, our injustice, all went on that cross and all was dead and buried. And then you came out of that tomb a new life. And so, Jesus, we all want to say in our own way, whether for the first time or the first time in a long time, yes to you this Easter. Jesus, we say yes. Jesus, we say yes. Because you've got the ring and you know how the story ends. And with you, the story always ends well. And that's the promise of Easter that we cling to, that we claim today. We pray this in your name, Jesus. And everybody said, amen.
Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, be gracious to you. Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn
May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children and their children. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children and their children. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children and their children. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children and their children. May his presence go before you and behind you and beside you, all around you and within you. He is with you, he is with you in the morning, in the evening, in your coming and your going, in your weeping and rejoicing. He is for you, 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 he is for you.
Man, thank you guys so much for joining us for Easter at Northshore. I hope you receive this blessing. God is for you. I hope you feel his face turned towards you. Man, I don't know if you made the decision for the first time to say yes to Jesus, but if you did, don't walk away from this moment. Please text My Faith to 97000. I would love to send you a book that will just help you understand more of what this decision looks like, and there are people who would love to walk through that decision with you. Maybe you got to the end of this experience and you're still on the fence and you still have questions and you don't really know, but you want to check things out. This is a place for you to ask those difficult questions. This is not just a flash in the pan, a one-time thing. This is every day, and we would love to just help you understand more of what a relationship with Christ looks like. Don't walk away from this if you're feeling the need to ask those questions. Man, we love you guys so much, and we're so thankful that you chose to spend Easter here at Northshore with this whole team and with us this week. We just could not be more grateful. Thank you guys again. We'll see you guys next week.